anyone who have undergone a significant spiritual awakening event is sooner or later taken aback by how much suppression there is in our psyches, how much tension there is in our bodies. How much rejection there is in our conscious experience. So a question arises, how do we get to this state? How do we start to suppress our authenticity? How do we get to be so fake? How do we start pretending? The ego is pretense, you see. It's pretense and deceit, it's inauthenticity. Are we born in a state where we pretend? No. No. Every child is born innocent and pure. That's why children are such a joy, you see. That's why children are so carefree. That's why children can love unconditionally, as everyone knows. That's why they are so pure. That's why every one of us, with very rare exceptions, remembers our early years of childhood as a happy time. It is a time before we started to pretend. It is a time before we started to suppress our authenticity in order to conform, in order to obey. And that is why enlightenment is a return to childlike innocence. It's a return to these happy times. It's coming back to ourselves. So how does it happen? Why does it happen? The sad truth is that we live in a profoundly sick society. It is a society that is based on subjugation, hierarchies of obedience. It's based on exploitation, power, and dominance. And these values, these messages, are deeply internalized in the mind of almost every adult. So the child almost never receives unconditional acceptance. It almost never receives love. It is almost immediately morphed, manipulated, threatened into a behavior that is deemed appropriate by a profoundly sick society. And what's more, the child is usually punished by expressing their discontent with what they're made to do, with how they are made to behave, with their displeasure of not being provided freedom, the freedom of exploration. It's a very natural state of things, see? In the natural state of things, there is no one, in any mammal, there is no one who has deeper, who shares deeper interest in the well-being of the child than a parent. It is absurd to punish the child for making a mistake. I have never seen a monkey beating its offspring for falling off the tree or something like that. And yet in human societies, punishing the child for the mistake, for the painful mistake, happens all the time. In the human society, the children must obey their parents. And how do you make one obey? With fear. We instill fear in our children incessantly, continuously, by reminding them that we are much stronger than them and they should obey us. By judging them when they do something not according to us, and by withdrawing unconditional love from them when they displease us. That's not love. That's possession, ownership. It is a very sick mind in which the child is a continuation of yourself, in which the child is your project and not an individual, independent, living being. So what is a child to do? The child depends on the parent for survival, for safety. So in the child's mind, the choice is very clear. It is a choice between suppressing authenticity. It is a choice between pretending to be someone they're not, and safety and connection to the parent. Because to a child, connection to the parent is literally a lifeline. And so as Gabor Maté said, and I liked his quote very much, he said, between authenticity and a connection to a parent, the child chooses connection every time. And so we begin to suppress. We begin to stop ourselves from being how we are in order to please adults around us, in order to please our parents, in order to please this society, in order to fit into it, in order to conform, in order to be safe. But how do we do that? By not showing our emotional reaction, of course. If the parents are very displeased when you cry, you will suppress your tears. And anger, oh my, that's not your place at all to be angry at your parents for anything. So we suppress our anger. And the only way to suppress an emotion, because an emotion is a physical expression, it's a physical manifestation. The only way to suppress an emotion is is by exerting attention. So if you start to cry and you want to stop yourself from crying because it feels unsafe, it feels unsafe to cry. You're not expected to be crying. You will get punished for it. You will make things even worse by crying, not better. Then what do? You tense up the throat. You tense up your throat right here. So that's why oftentimes many adults, when they begin to cry, they feel pain in the throat. When the tears come up, there's a painful sensation in the throat. That's the tension. That's the remaining tension from years and years of conditioning. The body becomes tense. It becomes a chronic tension. What do when you're angry and you need to stop it? You tense your muscles. You tense your shoulders. You tense your arms. You try to stop moving because it's dangerous to express anger in any way. So we become very tense when we're angry. And then, of course, as we keep trying to suppress it, it boils over. And we say, oh, I don't know what came over me. I lost myself. So that's why when we awaken, we start to see how painful those emotions are that we suppressed for many years, and how much of it there is. And they're only painful because there is so much of it. Everything that we have been suppressing for a very long time becomes painful. It is the pain of suppression. We start seeing the tensions in the body that are a result of this suppression. We start to unravel it all back on the journey back home to the childlike innocence, to the beauty, to the exploration, to the curiosity, to the openness to life. Like every child is so open to life, so hungry. It's normal to feel a lot of things on the journey back home. It is a journey back through the layers of suppression, through the layers of pretense, back to authenticity, back to being how you are at any given moment. It is a journey back to this self-acceptance, to self-love that was lost by internalizing the messages that we get from society about how we should be, how we should behave, what is a proper expression, what is improper expression. And in internalizing these messages, we invariably lose our freedom. So if you are on the spiritual path and it hurts, please know that it's normal. It is normal. What hurts is not love. What hurts is the unexpressed. What hurts is the rejected. What hurts is the denied. And love allows it to be seen. Love is what propels you on this journey back to yourself. And what uncovers the pain to the level of consciousness. So please rest assured that it's very normal. It's very normal. And do what you have to do. Express it in a safe and sane manner. Cry if you need to. Love makes you cry. Be angry when you rediscover the mistreatments that you've been subjected to. Feel guilty or shame when you rediscover the mistreatments that you have subjected others to. None of this is avoidable. The well of suppressed emotion is what separates us from the dream state to the enlightened state. The vast majority of the spiritual work is energy work, emotional work. And the same applies to tensions. You will invariably see the forgotten, invisible tensions that exist in the body. They can be both very large, very painful, and very subtle, very small. They are connected to the chronic habitual suppression, to the chronic habitual pretense, to playing a character that is inauthentic to you. They are connected. May feel very difficult, may feel very painful, but know that there is nothing more blissful, there is nothing more satisfying, there is nothing more ecstatic than being yourself, than coming back to wholeness.